Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're starting. Hi, everyone. Ikra, who's kicking it off? Okay.
Okay, I'll kick it off. Hello, everyone. My name's Ikra. I'm the current USG president and co-president with Aaron, and we're just here today to tell you a little bit about how to go about running for the elections for next year.
Perfect. So if anyone was over here last year, you might have seen a video from 2021, but we're trying to refresh it right now. So we're going to give you a quick overlook of how it looks like when you want to declare your candidacy for any of the positions and how the election process works in general. So I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to spotlight both of us so people can see us on top of the screen. Let's see how that works. Are we able to do that? I think it automatically happens. Let's hope it automatically happens.
Alrighty, so
Okay.
let's get started. How to run for Brooklyn College undergraduate student government.
Perfect. So who are we?
We were established in 1930 and we were originally serving only full-time students. As of 2019, we now serve all undergraduate students. Before this, you might have heard of CLAS. Actually, at this point, I don't know how many of you have heard of CLAS, but that's what it was before this. There was the student government for the morning students and for the night students, but there's only one now, and that's all you need to know about USG. USG are the advocates and the officers for all of the undergraduate students. What do? We provide funding for clubs and grants for club events. So when the student activity fee is collected, there's a certain allocation given to student government. Then student government has the jurisdiction to grant that money to all the different clubs that request it through different clubs and things like, committees and things like that we'll describe later. Also, we can host events on campus. Most of the events we've been having now are movie nights on the quad, but in the past we've had finals and chills, fall festivals, carnivals, and hopefully that will be coming to you next year if you join USG. We also hosted virtual events throughout the pandemic on Zoom, as well as created Discord, where we had movie nights as well as keynote speakers. And last but not least, the most important part of USG is our councils and committees. We have a cabinet, which is our executive branch, and legislative, which is our Senate branch, or our legislative branch, which are our senators. And they sit on different councils and committees on campus and within the entire Brooklyn College governance structure beyond just the students to help improve student life.
Perfect. Okay, so eligibility. So as we talked about before, we're focusing right now in this presentation on the undergraduate student government and not on the graduate student organization. If you're interested in the graduate student organization, you can reach out to them, which their email is gso@bcstudentgov.org. We'll try to put it in the description of the YouTube channel or somewhere where you can find it easily. But yeah, so no graduating student is allowed to run for any of the positions of the undergraduate student government. And if you run, you must have at least one semester left if you run for office. You also must have a minimum of a 2.0 GPA. If you are a freshman, a first-time student, let's just say that you have a 4.0, because that's where you're going to start. That's the starting point. You are allowed to serve in the same office in student government for a maximum of 2 years. So theoretically, if you are in the treasurer position, you don't want to be for 3 years inside the treasurer position in student government. You're not going to be allowed. You're only going to be allowed up to 2 years. And yeah, that's about the eligibility. Let's move to the next one.
So what are the positions? Sorry to cut you.
Go ahead.
So we have two branches, as mentioned earlier, executive and legislative. For the executive branch, we have the president and vice president. Those are two positions that run together on the ticket. So president and vice president is a team and they campaign together. And those two people have to be voted in. After that, there's a cabinet. These are also official positions as per our constitution. There's a secretary, or in other words, chief of staff, treasurer, press director, club director, events director, and student advocate. These positions get appointed by whoever wins as president, vice president. Then let's move over to the legislative branch. This is our Senate. This is a body of senators. Currently it says 27 because that is what we're operating at this year. We are also running a referendum during this election, which if it passes, there might only be 19 seats for Senate. However, all of these seats are on an election basis. So if you'd like to be in any of these seats, you also have to declare, petition, and run in the upcoming elections.
Perfect. So just to be clear, only the president and vice president from the executive branch is going to be on the ballot, and the 27 members in the legislative branch. All the rest of the president's cabinet are not going to be on the ballot, nor can you declare you running for it. I mean, you can talk with the president and vice president who are running the ticket and make them promise you something, but you can't actually nominate yourself to become the treasurer. But we're going to
And
move on. Yeah, go
also,
ahead.
just a quick caveat, these are the elected and official positions, but there's still plenty of committees that you can get on if you are not in one of these positions. So stay tuned, you can still be involved.
Well said. Okay. Committees. So the way that it works is there's basically two branches, and I don't know if the presentation sums this up very well, but we're going to try to explain it. So there's the USG governance aspect, and then there's the BC governance aspect. So USG is obviously undergraduate student government governance, and what falls under the undergraduate student government governance is mostly the club's operations. So we have a council that's called the Club Affairs Council, and we have a council that's called the Club Funding Council. And those are the main councils that we have in USG that at least students and senators love to participate in. There's other councils like the Political Council, the Elections Council, and the Participating Budgeting Council, but we're not going to focus on it that much. But yeah, the Club Funding Council basically is the council that allocates all the funding for the clubs that are active in Brooklyn College. And the Club Affairs Council is the one that deals with all newly registered clubs who are submitting constitutions. They review it over there. And also if there's violations possibly of a club not following the guidelines, the CUNY guidelines or the Brooklyn College guidelines or their own guidelines, they could be written up, we'll call it like that, and it will be sent to the Club Affairs Council for them to review. And they will be voting on it. And the way that it works is each council usually has an executive, someone from the cabinet who oversees that council, specifically inside the USG governance. So for example, in the Club Funding Council, the treasurer is the chair of that council, while in the Club Affairs Council, that's going to be the club director who is chairing that council. The Elections Council is the events director, the Political Council, I believe is the the Participating Budgeting Council is the press director, and the Political Council is the student advocate. And basically there's a lot more, but that's supposed to be a very clear rundown. Now, another thing to add is under the USG governance, you have obviously the Senate. The Senate is more of a legislative committee, and we have two main committees over there. It's called the Committee of Student Affairs and the Committee of Rules and Ethics. The Committee of Student Affairs is basically a committee that has 10 students, 10 senators, because only a senator can serve on that committee. And the Committee of Rules and Ethics is a committee comprised of, I believe, 5 senators. And that Rules and Ethics Committee is one of the most important, actually, committees in student government. And that's in case the executives decide to abuse their power, or even a senator actually decides to not show up. It's usually going to go directly to the Rules and Ethics. There's an automatic procedure in certain scenarios. So let's go say if you miss 3 Senate meetings, usually you're going to be automatically sent to the Rules and Ethics Committee, and then they're going to determine what kind of recommendation they make to the Senate. If they want to disqualify you, or I don't know, remove your stipend theoretically, or something like that, but we'll focus on that a little bit later. Ikra. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, happens to the best of us. Okay, so running for executive. Students interested in running for the position of president or vice president must run on a single ticket. So as mentioned earlier, you work together. Find someone who's going to be the president and someone who's going to be a vice president, make a team. You guys run as one ticket. Petitioning. Petitioning is this thing where you get signatures from students at Brooklyn College, any student at Brooklyn College, before you get put on the ballot. It's like to see that there's an interest in putting you onto the ballot and voting for you. So the way it worked is we suspended petitioning for a little while because of COVID-19 and not being able to be on campus. Currently, as of what we've heard from Quirk is the body that decides the rules for the elections and things like that. You guys will be petitioning if you're running this year, but it will be electronic petitioning, meaning like virtually you'll have people sign their name and give their EMPL ID. And those petitions are validated. So they do make sure that each person that signed your petition is a student at Brooklyn College, a current student at Brooklyn College. Also, when you're running for executive, the amount of petitions you need is 400 signatures, but if you're running as senator, the petitions you need is 100 signatures.
Yep,
Okay,
perfect.
there you go.
I think that covers also for the legislative branch as well. Yeah, senators 100, as you just said. And yeah, the way that it's going to work, the petitioning will follow up with that a little bit more in detail. But the way that we are envisioning this is we're going to create a Google form with anyone who submitted their information, and automatically they'll be on that Google form that will be sent out to students, and they can just check all the names that they want to be on the ballot. Obviously, the reason for petitioning, if we're thinking about it, we don't want I mean, I'm just saying that that's the reason that they did it. I'm not necessarily agreeing with it, but we don't want 1,000 people applying for the president role, just to troll. So I guess that's why there's kind of like a gateway of that petitioning, and that's why the required signatures are a little bit higher than, for example, the Senate, which is 100, but also is yeah, a fair amount. Okay, let's move on. There's other stuff that are happening in the election. I'm going to touch a little bit on the University Student Senate. So USS is the body that basically represents all CUNY. It's kind of like the student government of all CUNY. It's very interesting in some capacity, but could be very tiring in the other. And maybe I should not talk about that, Ikra. Maybe you should go.
Yeah, so the University Student Senate is just the student government for all of CUNY. So all the CUNYs, Brooklyn, Baruch, Hunter, whoever they may be, have a delegate in the USS plenary, and they sort of work the same way. They have an executive body, they have a legislative body, and they do the same things any student government does, but on the CUNY level. So they're advocating for all CUNY students, and the chairperson of the USS also sits on the board of trustees of CUNY. So it's really important. That's like our voice beyond just our campus, but in terms of all of CUNY. And as you've been noticing over the past year, CUNY policies do affect all CUNY students. So it's important that we have that representation. So now what is this? You can also declare that you want to be a USS delegate for Brooklyn College, or that you want to be a USS alternate delegate. So the delegates would be two people who sit on the plenary and can vote on things the USS decides on or votes on or is thinking about, any legislation they're doing. The USS alternate delegates exist if the two delegates cannot go to the meetings, one of the alternates goes in their place. And Aaron, do you want to explain about student disciplinarian?
Yeah. So just to be clear, a lot of the stuff right now at the moment is virtual, but it used to be in person. We can't guarantee what the policy will be next year, if there will be meeting in person. Usually those meetings are on the weekends. If you do not like to sacrifice your weekends, don't sign up for it. Okay, student disciplinarian. So student disciplinarian is, at least it used to be, a student who used to be in charge, used to sit on a kind of like panel that would discuss all kinds of cases that would come up. Let's go say if there was a Title IX complaint, and it went through the process of the investigation, and then later on it was brought in front of a panel. So on that panel, you usually would have a faculty member, an administrator, and a student. And the student would be the student disciplinarian or the alternate student disciplinarian in case the first student disciplinarian has a conflict of interest or just can't attend. So that's usually how it works. It changed a little bit due to COVID, and now I believe basically it's centralized. So that means the student disciplinarian at Brooklyn College can get basically selected by a different college. So it's kind of like a raffle. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but so in theory, if there was a case in Baruch, the Brooklyn College student can be selected to represent, to be that person on the panel at a different CUNY school. And for cases in Brooklyn, the same would happen, the opposite. So that's basically regarding the student disciplinarian. Let's talk about the timeline. Ikra.
Yes, the timeline is super important. So there's a couple of steps in the election process. First, the first step started on February 21st, and that means declaring. If you decide you want to be a president, vice president, or senator, a USS member, a disciplinarian, whichever position it may be, you will go on our website and fill out the declaration form and submit it. And that will ask a bunch of information from you, your bio, your name, your employee ID, all the stuff we need to get you onto the ballot. Then between February 21st and March 4th, after you've declared, you have to get the amount of signatures for your petition that you need. If you're petitioning for president, vice president, as we mentioned earlier, you need to get your 400 signatures by March 4th. If you are petitioning to be a student senator, you need to get your 100 signatures by March 4th. So that means if at March 4th you have that many signatures and Dr. Hamilton Raymond will be verifying those signatures and those EMPL IDs, then that means you're going to be on the ballot once elections begin. So that's February 21st to March 24th, declaration period and petitioning period. Then from February 28th to about March 21st, when the elections begin, is your campaigning period. So the campaigning period is really when you get out there, tell people I'm running for student government, tell people why you're the best candidate to vote for, tell people what your initiatives are, who's going to be in your cabinet, what you plan to do as a senator, what legislation you want to bring forth. That is when you get the word out there, get people to know that elections are coming up, get people to know that they need to vote for elections and all of that good stuff. And last but not least, March 21st to I believe 25th, it's open for a few days is the actual election period. Information about that will be coming to you straight from Brooklyn College. And every student at Brooklyn College has the opportunity to vote. You log in with your individual credentials, and then that's when the voting happens and we get some results.
Perfect.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Thank you. Okay, so this does not seem to be updated, which I guess I will get, but right now to update it. So we actually got an update an hour ago that it was extended, the period that you can declare. So an hour ago, the time to declare was February 25th, and it now has been extended to March 4th. So these are additional days that you can actually declare and collect the signatures. So just dismiss this part and consider this March 4th. Now, in order to actually declare a candidacy, we created a Google form that you can, and we'll go over it in a moment. And yeah, you're going to get campaign rules from Quirk of what you're allowed and not allowed as to campaign. And don't forget that the elections itself are going to be over 3 days, a 3-day period.
Yeah, sorry, I think it said March 21st on the slide before. March 23rd to 25th, basically 3 days. It only takes a couple seconds to vote. But it's open for 3 days, so everybody has an opportunity to do it on BC Web Central.
Perfect. Should we go through this? I'm not sure if this is that important at the moment.
I think this is a great time to plug our socials. Follow us at BC Student Gov, and when voting time comes around, we'll send all of this information again, so you specifically know how to vote.
Perfect.
Also, all of
Yep.
this whole slide packet is on our website. Aaron, if you could go to our website right now. Elections.bcstudentgov.org, but also bcstudentgov.org is a really important resource as well. We have a lot of information on there. You can see everything we talked about on this website.
Yep. Maybe let's go over a few of the tabs very quickly. So as you can see immediately when you land over here on the homepage, you're going to have the option to look at exactly who we are, what we do, the structure, the governing documents, Quirk, our calendar, and contact information. But most importantly, you're going to see under the how to run, you're going to see over here the previous video presentation. Hopefully by then you're going to see the new one. You're going to see the actual presentation that we just showed you. And you're going to see over here the declaring and petitioning date. You're going to see over here also the option of how to vote. By the way, I'm just going to point out on the bottom over here, you're going to have the option to click on how to declare. And you're going to have over here the information about Quirk. If you click on it, it will take you to the Brooklyn College website where you can see all the information about that. If you click over here on the how to vote, it will give you detail on how to vote. All of this will be more, I would say, updated when it comes to vote. There's the banner over here on the top will reflect when the time to vote. You're going to see like vote here, vote now, or whatever, something like that. But let's just talk very quickly about the form itself. It's not that complicated, I promise. So basically, as a start, you need to enter your information. Once you go in, you're going to put in all your information over here. It's going to ask you for a lot of information. And that's because we need to verify your status, okay? And there are some requirements over here, and all of us needs to go to administration in order to verify you. And a very important thing to say is the form is dynamic, okay? So that means if you, for example, click on the no, it will take you to the committee positions that we were talking about that are not elected positions. If you click on yes, it will take you to elected positions, and so far and so forth. If you click on president and vice president, it will open for you another page where you're going to declare also your vice president.
Yeah, right here, even if you don't want to do an elected position, but would like to be involved in USG for the following year, fill out this declaration form and
Exactly.
just hit no for this, and then it'll give you all the other positions you could possibly be a part of.
Yep. You're gonna have over there. It's very detailed and very straightforward on what you need to do. It shouldn't be complicated. If you do need help, you will also have the option to email elections@bcstudentgov.org. I believe it's going to be over here. Contact election commissioner. So if you click on it, it will automatically open for you the elections@bcstudentgov.org. This would go to the election commissioner, and it would go to Hamilton, Raymond, and the executives of USG. So feel free to email us. We appreciate
Thank
you hanging on over here in the video. That's
Yeah.
very
Thank you,
impressive. Good for
everyone.
you.
We hope to see you on the ballot. We hope to see you campaigning. Reach out to us, ask us about our experiences. And if nothing else, we definitely hope to see you voting from March 23rd to March 25th. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.